Hey guys, it's Ariana. I just wanted to make a quick recap video on the things that we discussed in our meeting. We talked about some really incredible things. So the main focus of our group chat was hair growth, and if you are losing hair, if you have any scalp conditions or hormonal conditions that are causing you to lose hair, this is definitely a video that you want to stick around and watch. For those of you who were at the meeting, I recorded the full meeting, and I'm gonna give you a link. If you want a link to the meeting that we had, just let me know, email me and I'll send you a link. The reason that I didn't want to upload that video here to YouTube is because it wasn't recorded properly, and I think that all that information needs to kind of be condensed in a way that's easier to understand. So in our group chat meeting last month, we talked a lot about your hair strands, about hair breakage and how to, prevent hair breakage, and we spoke a lot about high growth fatigue and stress that your hair strands can go through that can cause that breakage. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen that group chat from last month, just go to the Selva family channel and search for that video. That is really good for your hair strands, for understanding the health of your hair strands and how you can prevent breakage, how you can give your hair the nutrients that it needs to promote healthy growth. Now, in this video, I want to talk a little bit more about your scalp health and actual hair growth from the follicle. This is very important because I feel like that's the entire reason why you guys are here in the first place, is because most of you are going through actual hair loss and you need solutions to figure out how to help your body heal from that. Now, let me start by saying that, there are many different types of hair loss, but the most common type of hair loss is alopecia areata. And alopecia is something that is usually, dermatologists will categorize it into two different groups, and one of them is called scarring alopecia and the other is non-scarring alopecia. For the majority of cases, for the majority of people who are losing hair, whether it's hair loss in big patches or diffused hair loss where it kind of, sparsely comes out everywhere, it doesn't really matter what type it is, but the most common one is non-scarring. When your alopecia is non-scarring, it can be treated and your hair can grow back. The difference between non-scarring and scarring is that the inflammation of scarring alopecia has actually changed the surface of your scalp. A scar has literally grown over the follicle, and so when it gets to that point, when scars develop over the follicle, that follicle is not strong enough to push through that scar and your hair does not grow back. For those of you who may be at the starting point of hair loss, or let's say you have alopecia and you're at a point where your hair is falling noticeably, you want to start beginning treatments right away to be able to prevent the hair from falling. There are many different types of treatments. You can take oral treatments, you can take corticosteroids, you might have heard of minoxidil. You can take a lot of different medications or treatments to correct the issue. Now, one thing that we have to understand when it comes to treatments for this issue is that most treatments are made to stimulate blood flow to the scalp. If you're taking minoxidil or steroids or anything like that, what the purpose of that treatment is to try to promote hair growth by stimulating the scalp, stimulating the follicle, and promoting good blood flow to that area. When you look at the anatomy of the hair follicle, you'll see that it is actually a little bit complex. The blood vessels are at the bottom, which is the dermal papilla, and when you are looking for a topical application to treat hair loss, you want something that's going to penetrate through those top layers of skin and reach deep into the follicle. Usually, when we apply any type of moisturizer or whatever it is, we assume that it is penetrating deep. That's not always the case. Our scalp is made up of 40% lipids and 40% protein and only 20% water. And so when you're looking for a topical treatment that is effective for hair growth, you want something that is oil-based, because lipids love lipids, oils love oils, and you already have a lot of natural oil, and so when you're using a treatment such as an oil treatment, it's going to penetrate deeper and be more effective in managing hair loss than anything else. When you're talking about your hair follicle, you want oils that are terpenes, and terpenes are oils that are, very light and fragrancy, like essential oils like lavender, tea tree, camphor, peppermint oils. These oils penetrate deep into your hair follicle, reaching those blood vessels which carry oxygen and nutrients throughout, and it's the only way to be effective if you're looking for hair growth. You want something to promote blood flow to that region, because that is a way to stimulate the hair follicles into production. So when you're using Chrisin, it has all of the essential oils, the terpenes, that are going to deeply penetrate. Now, when you go to a dermatologist and get a prescription to treat things like alopecia, you might be given a treatment that you need to take every 4 to 6 weeks, or you might be given like minoxidil, which is a chemical which promotes a lot of blood flow to the scalp and kind of kickstarts hair into the anagen phase. But if you stop using minoxidil, all of the hair that you've gained will fall out. And so to have a solution that's a little bit more natural and permanent is why we created Chrisin, because all of the essential oils in the Chrisin formulation, they do penetrate deep and stimulate blood flow and production, but it's not something that you lose if you stop using it. Think of Chrisin kind of like the way you would think of healthy food in regards to a diet. You can go to the gym and look around. If people are taking steroids, they're going to be super strong. They'll have big muscles, but if they stop taking steroids, their body type changes not in the best way. Or you can go to the gym and see somebody who has been consistently going to the gym for many, many years, and their body type is chiseled and nice, and you might find that they don't even have to work out that much to maintain that. It's because it's a lifestyle. It's very healthy. Their diet is very healthy and clean, and the same thing with using natural remedies for your hair. When you use chemicals, yeah, sure, you can get results, but when you stop using it, it's not the best, and using chemicals is just not good for your environment. But when you're using something that's completely natural, you're going to get great results. It may take a little more time. You're going to get results that stay with you. When you're doing topical treatments, you have to be very careful, because your scalp is made up of about 40% lipids, about 40% protein, and about 20% water. So if you are using a water-based treatment, it probably won't be very effective. You need a treatment that is oil-based, because your scalp is made up of 40% oils, and oils like oils. And so when you're using an oil-based treatment, that will allow the oils to deeply penetrate deep into your hair follicle. And so when you look at the oils that are in Chrisin, there are so many different oils there for a very good reason. And that's because each oil has a different chemical structure, and it is absorbed differently by the body. There are so many different types of oils in Chrisin, like all of the essential oils, but there are also like carrier-based oils. So there are polyunsaturated fatty acids, monounsaturated fatty acids, and that's because each of these different oils has a different chemical structure. The way that it's shaped serves a different purpose. If you go to our last video from our Chrisin community group chat from last month in June, you'll notice when we talked about hygrofatigue, I talked about the different chemical structures of these oils and how they are linear, just like your hair strand, and how they create a protective coating around your hair strand so that you're less likely to lose the moisture of your hair, less drying out, less breakage. The same principle and rule applies. You need oils that are deeply penetrating. Deeply penetrating means that they are not branchy. They don't have so many, their structure is more linear so that it can penetrate deeply, like terpene oils, like essential oils, peppermint, lavender, tea tree, camphor. So many of the essential oils that Chrisin contains are made for the purpose of absorption, while others serve as a nice protective barrier or penetration to the hair strand. So it serves multiple purposes. So when we're talking about the scalp and follicle penetration, you want to make sure that the oils that you're using have terpenes. Terpenes are the types of oils that can absorb deep into the follicle. You want it to reach the dermal papilla because that is basically where the blood vessels are at, where oxygen and nutrients and everything are. Where you're going to see the hair growth is deep in the follicle, and terpenes can access that region of your hair follicle. It will create a lot of stimulation, encourage blood flow, and encourage healthy hair growth. If your follicles are capable of producing hair, let's say the follicle is not damaged and you can still produce hair, then your condition is treatable. So that's one. You want to use an oil-based treatment for your topical treatment. So now when you're diagnosing and treating hair loss, you have to be very careful because, you know, sometimes we can try to treat the issue while at the same time fueling the issue from the other side. What I mean by that is one of the main causes of hair loss is cortisol buildup in your body, and cortisol is what's released when you're very stressed. Now, if you've just been to the dermatologist and they tell you that you have alopecia, what's the first thing that you think of? You think of all of your hair falling out, and you can, you know, if you're in that stage, you can just feel your hair here and, like, you know, do a test and pull, and you might have strands and strands falling out. And that is something that will affect your own confidence a lot. And we, as those who are going through this issue, we have to be able to kind of help our bodies control the emotional impact that hair loss can have on our stress levels. Stress causes hair loss. Managing your stress can reduce hair loss, simply said. So you want to be very careful with teaching and training your body to adapt to different stress in your life. The way that I do it and the way that I highly recommend handling stress is through meditation, or if you're religious, through prayer, because these are times where you can take 20 or 30 minutes to yourself and calm your mind and say what needs to be said and release the tension from your body. This is something I recommend doing every single day. If you wake up in the morning, meditate. Give yourself time, give yourself 20 or 30 minutes, even if you have to wake up 20 or 30 minutes earlier to make time for that. It's worth it, because when you are able to relieve your stress, it helps not only your hair health, but it helps your entire body. Just go to your closet or find a quiet place where you aren't going to be bothered. Kneel in prayer or meditate, and you're going to find the whole day will go much smoother, because you're going to naturally be a little happier. The endorphins that are released are going to boost your spirit and mood. If you have things in your life that are causing immense stress, try your best to remove it. Life is too short to be stressed. If it's a toxic relationship, if it's a toxic lifestyle, remove what it is and try to get as natural as possible, as close as possible to yourself as you can, so you can know your mind and your body internally. Meditation is something that so many people swear by, and they swear by it for a very good reason, because it's extremely effective and it helps the mind. Your mind health is extremely important. Another thing that we talked about was hair loss from pulling and tugging. Now, one of my users, she said, you know, I've lost so much hair around the crown of my head because I used to put very tight ponytails, and it caused a lot of damage. Will my hair grow back? The answer for that is yes, if your follicles are still capable of producing hair. If by chance, which this is also, it's very rare, but if by chance you have scarring over those follicles, or those follicles are damaged to the point where they cannot produce hair anymore, you will not be able to grow hair back in those regions. However, when you're using these oils like christened with terpenes and with the types of oils that deeply penetrate to the follicle. When you're using those on a regular basis, you will notice your hair will grow back. Another thing is, don't try to heal something by still maintaining the same habits that caused the damage in the first place. So if you're used to tying your hair really tight, stop. One example I gave is you can tie, and normally if you tie like a ponytail royally up top on the top of your head, or like a tight bun, or whatever you do, try to change it up. One way that I do that is I create a part on my hair, and then I just kind of put a loose bun. You can keep it at the nape of your neck, and pull some hairs out to make it very loose so that it's not tugging. You also want to change up your part, so you can have, your part can be in one place, and then let's say it's tugging too much. You just want to switch up that part to someplace completely different so that your hairline isn't widening, because you just want to make sure that you prevent the tugging and tension. Oh yes, another thing that we talked about, my mother-in-law, when she first came to the United States a little while ago, she suffered hair loss, and she was losing her hair, and she knew that it was because of the difference in water. When she was living in Sri Lanka, she had a very clean, filtered water that was very healthy for her hair, natural, without any hard minerals. But then she moved to Utah, which is like, all the water is like hard water. Using that water alone will cause hair fall. And so what she did was she got a water dispenser with one of those 5-gallon water bottles, and she would just wash her hair with the filtered water that came from that water dispenser. And so I looked it up for you guys because I thought this was such a great idea, and something that I really have been meaning to share with you, but I keep forgetting. And I suggest you guys go out and do the same. So if you live in like a suburban area, you can actually have water delivered to your house. I think Nestle does it. So if you go to the Nestle website, or just Google Nestle water services, I think Nestle will deliver water to your house, and it's super cheap. A big 5-gallon jug will last you about a week, and I think it costs like $5 or $6 or something like that. And you can even choose to have a dispenser that has heated water or cool water or room temperature. It's pretty luxurious. So I highly recommend doing something like that, because guys, your scalp is very sensitive. So if you are using the wrong type of water, even that can cause hair loss. So if you're losing a lot of hair and you want to just stop it in its tracks, just try that and see how that works. I already ordered 2 water dispensers, one for our upstairs, one for our downstairs. I'm going to use it for my hair and for our kids' hair, just to get in the habit early and start that. We're not necessarily losing hair. I just want to establish that habit, just because I think washing your hair with something that is pure and filtered and completely clean is a great option to have in today's day and age. So I highly recommend doing the same. Another trick that I've shared before, but I think is equally important, it's a habit that you should really integrate into your lifestyle, into your washing habits, is that when you wash your hair with cool water, with water that is cool or room temperature. Do not wash your hair with hot water, because if you just do the research, look online, there's a lot of studies that support that washing your hair with hot water causes hair loss. So tip of the day for you. Thank you so much for all of your support. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Our channel is going to be one that is focused on hair health, skin health, overall mental and physical body health. We might even throw a few family videos here and there, some recipes that many of you have already tried. I really want this place to be positive for you. I want you to find a channel that you can go to where you get something from it. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Take care, and I'll see you next month for our next group chat.